This notion is the way that a company treats my personal data becomes a competitive factor. I mean, in the instance you just used, there's the way of using my data might be quite different to the Apple Maps way of using my data. And we as individual consumers are going to differentiate on these different suppliers that we interact with based on the way they treat our data. And I think further than that, we're going to see in time, and this has been slower than I thought it might emerge, is the notion almost of sort of personal management dashboards in which I can expose some of my data to you because I like the way you treat my data, but less of my data to you because I don't like the way you treat my data. I think that management overlay, I think there's a huge opportunity for technology providers to provide that overlay and allow us to make differential choices, competitive choices ultimately, about the way that an individual company deals with us. Because I think waiting for regulation at a national level, even a global level, a regional level, I mean, that's what's sort of coming at us slowly. It's frankly a little crude.
Privacy and trust are like yin and yang, right? They go together hand in glove. And as we've thought about trust, and Ben, you hit on this, like, you know, how might we in the future arbitrage our personal interactions through, every move that we make in situations where perhaps you have a global pandemic and there is a forcing moment where we need to be able to unlock and share information in those moments. Some people are thinking about what are the frameworks for data escrow accounts, where you can hold data in escrow. People have the keys to that information. You can unlock the information and then lock it back in once that event has gone past.
I was just inspired by Rob's point about ways of storing data escrow. Within the library communities of which I'm a part, we've been trying to think through what sounds like a corner case at first, the puzzle of a Supreme Court justice wants to donate papers to a library and you put them in a box that says do not open for 80 years. It's awfully tempting to peek a little on the early side or to invoke legal process to get in there and see what was going on. And we've been looking at ways that fuse a technological and an institutional/legal approach, such as being able to encrypt those papers and not trying to make it so it's so tightly encrypted you couldn't possibly decrypt it for 80 years, but get started now kind of thing. What if we encrypt this stuff and we break the key into fragments and we give the fragments to multiple institutions, in this case peer libraries, who all agree as fiduciaries. Just a word meaning we're going to take on a responsibility for the welfare of another and be loyal to them. Those institutions will share the fragments, and when the right requirements are met, say 80 years have passed, we'll put our fragments together and you need 6 of the original 9 to open
it's almost like
the
nuclear
box.
keys.
Like nuclear keys to launch a missile, or for more contemporary reference, like Horcruxes in Harry Potter, although that has a somewhat negative connotation when you put them all together. So it's a neat way of saying we're going to take data security and the privacy that represents underneath very seriously. We're going to anchor it in institutions at the end of the day. If you need to get in early, if enough institutions agree or can be compelled, you'll get in early if there's some global pandemic. But otherwise, there are clear markers now on that road saying when you've crossed a certain boundary. And that corner case of the library, that could easily, ultimately be implemented for individual privacy, a 2-key system to get into more than X% of my old Gmail archives. It could be implemented for corporate privacy so that the corporate history is saved rather than deleted, but not easily accessible even by the corporation unless X, Y, or Z happens.